I'm Pam Jackson. I'm director of Ons Plek Projects. I'm a social worker by profession. I was working in private practice, came to Cape Town. There was a job going at Ons Plek Projects for female street children, which I really did not want to do. But I also didn't want to go through the whole thing of having come from Joburg. Nobody knew me. It was really difficult to start a private practice. So I thought I would take the job as an interim measure. And after I had been there for a week, I fell in love with the resilience of the children. They were completely wild, running, they're a law unto themselves, running around all over the place, full of mischief, but full of life. And so I didn't think it was a calling at the time. I'm now there 24 years, I'm beginning to think it was a calling. Ons Plek, it's called Ons Plek because the children were on the street. The girls were on the street and there was nowhere for them to go. And there were already 6 shelters for boys, all started by Jane Keane under Child Welfare Society, Cape Town, auspices. So what we do is that if there are children on the street, we have to be situated in town where they get to see us. They can choose to come in. Otherwise, if they don't choose to come in, there may be other people who bring them in. Sometimes the police bring them in, sometimes other members of the public bring them in. But basically they come in, we help them settle down and change the way that they live and change their habits of doing what they want, when they want, begging when they want, running around, doing whatever. And the whole object is to get them back into society so that they grow up as members of society. And in the interim, that's a long process because they're quite often pretty damaged children. Quite often one can't find their families for a long time, or there's a lot of problems with the families. But in the interim, we educate the children, we provide counselling, trauma counselling, and we also just teach them how to look after things, how to prepare for their adulthood, how to cook, how to shop. They do all their own shopping. Everything you need in life, it's like parenting. Yeah, I mean the most important thing that we believe in is reunification, because children should not be in an institution. They should be in a family setting of some kind. And they should be forming relationships with their communities and growing up belonging in a community. So this whole process of reunification is pretty difficult. Quite often we need to engage in discussions with the parents about how to discipline your children if that's the problem, that the child is just running around and the parents can't control them at all. We quite often have to get involved in family divorce, counselling, anything that is preventing the family from functioning fully, so that they're able to provide a home for their children. And the process is long. The children must go and visit home. They visit for a day, first of all, regularly. Then, if that goes well, 2 days. Each time they come back, you have a discussion with the child and with the family. What were the problems, what were the strengths, and then you build on it. So that by the time the child's ready to go home and the family are ready to have them, that's a permanent placement. We receive some money from overseas. We receive less than a third from the South African government. And then we just have a lot of small supporters who give whatever they can. Might be a very small amount, but it all adds up. I have to do a lot of fundraising, a lot of approaching trusts. We don't do events because we're very small, and that takes a lot of time, and it doesn't bring in sufficient to warrant the amount of time that one spends. We receive quite a lot of support in terms of volunteers who we have to screen and train, but they come and they help the children on a one-to-one basis. We use volunteers for homework help specifically. And otherwise, public can help by funding, and I really think that is the most useful way, because unless you're hands-on, you don't know what the needs are, and you don't know what the priorities are. I know there's a lot of public really mistrust NPOs because some have abused the money. Basically, what you have to do as a public member is assess the place you're giving to, decide if you're trusting them or not, and then give them the money. We find a lot of corporate social investment, this program. People are now, they feel they must come and do the work themselves. They come for a day, they paint the place, they're not experienced in painting, the paint peels, after a few months. And I'm always saying to corporates, if you give us money, we can employ somebody to teach children. If you give us a very fancy classroom with everything that pushes and pulls, we can't do anything unless we have that salaried person to use it. So I think trust the organisation, we will be accountable, and donate. That's another way of helping, the most practical way of helping, short of coming to run the place yourselves. Okay, we're in a very, very old building in District 6, and it's kind of a building where the walls, the clay comes out quite easily, the walls are waterlogged. The surface of the courtyard, which is the only place that the children can go to, and it's very, very small, is very rough and doesn't look good. So next week, and it just really just detracts from, one has a gloomy feel when you come into that courtyard. So we're having much valued assistance next week to replace the flooring with a really nice coloured, hard-wearing tile. The walls are going to be painted yellow, which will lighten that courtyard. And then we're hoping to do something with the bars. We have to have high bars because we are frequently threatened by gangs. So we've got very high bars, we look like a jail. We're really hoping to have some sort of innovative way of painting them so that the focus is not so much on the bars and the jail look, but maybe makes a feature of the bars. So we just really, we've blown, and I think what's happening next week has also helped us start thinking differently. We're now thinking and looking at ourselves in a completely different way. And also to see whether maybe after that we can get plants, something just that will help the children feel more proud of where they stay, and maybe just be able to relax a little bit because it's a different kind of feel to the whole building.